If you're serious about engagement or commitment in your organization, you should not only be looking at who is collaborating and who is opposing a certain initiative. That's just too simple. There's a deeper understanding you need to have about authenticity. Authenticity in the first place is who we really are from the inside. In the second place, it's about our purpose, what we are here for. And in the third place is what we are truly unique at. Now, if people can bring that fully to an initiative, that's when they are being authentic. Now, if we bring that information together, we talk about collaboration and opposition, and we talk about being authentic and inauthentic, that's when we can start creating a model. Bear with me. So first of all, in this model, how I'm going to draw it is the vertical axis, it displays authenticity, and the horizontal axis shows the level of collaboration. As a result, we have 4 quadrants: commitment, resistance, Stockholm Syndrome, and burnout. Now let's have a closer look at them. First of all, commitment. Commitment is what happens when how we show up is fully aligned with who we are, and it is also accepted by the social script or the pressures, the social pressures of the room we are in. This is what it looks like. There is a full resonance, internal resonance between who we are and how we show up, and there is also what I call external resonance between the initiative and how we show up. It gets a little bit more difficult when we talk about resistance, when there is opposition. The main thing to remember when we talk about resistance is that it is still an authentic behavior, because how we show up still resonates with who we are, and people are staying true to their inner self, and they have the courage to be vocal about it. At the same time, we can see that there's external dissonance. This is when, as a leader, you have to look at conflict not as a source of danger, but as a source of information that something is out of balance. When people show up authentically and they show resistance towards an initiative, take it as a source of information and try to find balance there. That, I think, is the essence of managing resistance, so to speak. This is when we talk about the authentic behaviors. Now, it gets more into the danger zone, and unfortunately it also is more populated down there when we go to the inauthentic forms of commitment. First of all, the Stockholm Syndrome. It's also known as capture bonding, and it describes the behavior of hostages who have become sympathetic to their hostage takers. It is derived from a hostage incident that took place in Stockholm in the 70s. Unfortunately, this is what we see in a lot of organizations. People, as a kind of survival strategy, are not showing up as who they really are, but just in order to comply with what is being demanded. And in a certain sense, that is kind of a comfort zone, both for leaders and for employees. First of all, for leaders, because it is a safe space for them to just continue to do command and control. People listen, people comply, and that's a good way to just continue command and control. Secondly, for employees as well, it's a comfort zone, because whenever something goes wrong, you can just hide behind the excuse that it wasn't your fault. You just did, and you just complied to the rule, and if something goes wrong, it wasn't your fault. You just did what was being told. Now, if we stay too long in that comfort zone of the Stockholm Syndrome, we may end up in a situation where we become convinced that we don't have the resources to do things, to think things for ourselves. And this is why when we move to an environment where the social script of the collective self, all of a sudden there is an initiative, for instance, that demands something that we truly believe in, we may discover that we have been building up a social self that has become a lie, that does not represent who we truly are, and we are blocked from two ways. We are blocked because how we show up is not authentic, and that inauthenticity does not pay off in the new environment. And that is really when burnout occurs. We're blocked from two ends. This model shows us that there are actually four types of commitment. So now that we have a better understanding of what commitment is really about, that it's not only about collaboration or opposition, but also about authenticity, we can start thinking about what we can do as leaders in order to foster and stimulate commitment in our organization. For this, I want to get back to that first model that I talked about, the model where I described the flow between the self, the social self, and the collective self, between who I am, how I show up, and the initiative that we are trying to find the potential in the organization for. So when we look at those three elements, and let me go to the drawing board again, we see that this flow, it can be interrupted at two crucial spots. And the first interruption is between the collective self and the social self, and that occurs because the initiative we are trying to push into the organization is simply creating status differences that are too high. So what we need to do there is to provide psychological safety in order to restore the social script. The second type of interruption that can occur is between the self and the social self, between who people are and how they show up. Sometimes either the social pressures are too high, or people have lost every belief in their true capabilities. And that's where we need to invite the authenticity of people in order to cultivate their own accountability. So, in summary, this is the model we should be looking at when we want to foster commitment in our organization. Two types of interruption we need to be attentive for. We need to be intentional about preserving the flow between the self, the social self, and our initiative. And to put it very, very simply, our responsibilities as leaders is to make sure that we make it safe for people to show up as they are.